Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another great episode of Head Kicks and Haymakers. I am Bodkins, and of course, always joining me every Wednesday night is my main man, Whit. What is up, my brother?
Man, I'm gonna tell you what's going on. A good pay-per-view, the first one of the year. That's what's going on tonight, my brother. How's everything going on your end, bro?
Good, great. Whit, it is time. I don't want to keep our guests waiting. It is time. You just said it, Whit. It is our first pay-per-view of the year. So what I want to try to do for the next few pay-per-views is always try to bring either different guest on, maybe even the same guest. But every pay-per-view, I believe, hey, we got to make it bigger, better, brander. So we got to try to bring in a guest, get some different insights, get some different people thinking outside the different boxes of me and you. And so our first ever guest on Head Kicks and Haymakers, give it up for Mr. Rob Nakamura! J-Spec, the host, baby, in the house. Rob, welcome to Head Kicks and Haymakers. We appreciate you joining us tonight.
Thank you, gentlemen, so much. And I want to just get something right out of the box. If anybody's seeing this and they're like wondering, Rob, what the hell are you doing with the glasses? I'm not doing something crazy. I have a light sensitivity issue, and I wasn't going to cancel on my boy. I gave him my word, so I was going to be here. So light sensitivity or not, sunglasses on. I guess I'm in Tony Ferguson mode. Let's go, baby.
Hey, I mean, perfect Tony time. You probably got more wins recently under your belt than Tony, so, before we break down the UFC 297 card, we'll go through it all. I want to talk about this past weekend just real quick. You get the big win. Ankalaev knocks out Johnny Walker in the second round. I don't know about you guys, but does Johnny Walker always just fall back with his hands up? I mean, in this weird way. And then he was laying up against the fence, and it was like Ankalaev just rolled one up and just smoked it across his face and broke his nose to end the fight. Rob, we'll start with you. Thoughts on the fight and thoughts on Ankalaev going forward? Do you think he's a huge player here at the 205 division?
Man, for Ankalaev, I got to sprinkle a little. Y'all must have forgot. Like, this guy isn't irrelevant. He is very, very capable. He was one marginal opinion away from being world champ, everybody. Like, this is a very talented man who, at the top of the food chain, is very dangerous. Johnny Walker is a very capable fighter, except one thing that we all kind of know from him. It's just hot or cold with him. Sometimes he looks amazing. Sometimes he looks equally terrible. And I'm not saying it was a bad performance per se, but I gotta be honest. Since Johnny's been at SBG, he's become more of a point fighter. And when the firefight starts, he doesn't really seem to be ready for it, have the answer for it. And let's all be honest, his chin isn't built for it. He's more of a hit you first, then hit you back kind of guy. That's what I'm saying.
Oh man, look, you hit the nail on the head with that one, bro. Bikins mentioned it earlier. Johnny Walker has a crazy idea in which somehow, some way, you're not going to hold the phone when we're swinging. Okay, I don't understand it, but that's something that everybody should know, especially when you're getting into one of those rock'em sock'ems, and literally in the middle of a exchange, Johnny Walker just decides to check his pocket, and Ankalaev connects. And the next thing you know, like you said, it's a nice wind up to the dome, and man, it ended violently in a sense. It could have got worse. Great referee stoppage at that point.
Yeah, no doubt. I do want to. I think Johnny Walker is just a mind thing. It seems like when he's focused, he's really good. But then sometimes, you even saw it in this fight. I think it was like the end of the first round where he's like doing some weird, crazy dances, and I know that's kind of his character. But I feel like that's when he gets into trouble, is when he does these weird things. And, that's when it's like he's not loses that sense of focus, and he's too busy trying to put on a show and do funny, goofy things instead of just trying to beat the man in front of him. I will say too, Jay, I think you're right. People did Rob. I do think you were right. The people did forget about Ankalaev, right? Like, and I think it was because of the weird ending of that title fight with Jan Blachowicz, and then he just disappeared off the planet, and then he shows up in the desert with Johnny Walker, and then Johnny says he's in the desert when the doctor asks him, and the doctor's like, "That's not a good enough answer," even though if you ask 99% people in the world, that's exactly where the fuck he was. So I think you're right. People kind of forgot about who Ankalaev was. He's undefeated.
Yeah. Boom. You got it, dude. And just one thing on that, like, there you go with slangs, right? Like, are you fluent? Can you understand a joke? That's how you know if you're fluent or not. But anyways, the guy, that whole mess is like one of the goofiest things in MMA history. But moving on from that, Ankalaev is legit, man. He's fully legit. He's fully capable. He has the skills. He has the size. Man, a good luck to whoever who fights him next, to be honest. Like, well, he's supposed to be fighting for the title, right? That's
what my next question was, is he next for the title? It seems like I was kind of reading some stuff today. It looks like it all depends, like the 300 and this card, from what I read today, is that they want Izzy to come back for 300. Winner of this fight on Saturday, the title fight. Winner gets Izzy at 300 if they come unscathed, which we'll talk about that later. And then the plan for Pierre is to wait for Jamal Hill in the summer. But if he can't go, if they can't do Izzy at 300, they want Pierre to fight at 300. It won't be Jamal Hill. It could be Ankalaev. So do you guys think that Ankalaev or Jamal Hill should be next for Alex? We'll start with you, Whit.
Man, I read something similar, and in my mind, what I would like to see is something that I guess would be what would be considered a more exciting fight. So I would want to see Pierre and Ankalaev way more than I would want to see Jamal Hill. And I'm not knocking Jamal Hill. When he was healthy, when he was in there, he was rocking, he was rolling. That was somebody you had to be afraid of. But for me, with my money, I have a recency bias, and I'm sorry to say it, but Ankalaev seems like if you gotta get somebody in there to fight for a title within 2 fights, he's right there on the doorstep. I mean, just like we mentioned, the stoppage with Blachowicz, and it was pretty much, it was pretty much what you would consider an even match. You know what I mean? What else can you say when you're going against the champ? Now we got Piero up there. Of course, he's the boogeyman in damn near 3 divisions. I want to see somebody that could put the paws on him. And I definitely think that right now Ankalaev has made enough noise to say, hey, if I'm not the guy, I'm going to beat the guy to get to the guy.
What about you? What's your thoughts? Is Ankalaev next, Rob?
See, here's the problem right now. The UFC's got a lot of promissory notes floating around in that division, right? They went and told he's already getting it, but Jamal, he has a promissory note whenever he's ready to go, right? They're fulfilling their promissory note with Yuri, and then there's Ankalaev, Mr.
Because what happens at 300 if Rakic and Yuri fight? Does winner would
he's supposed to
themselves.
Yeah, he's supposed to. So there's a lot of these supposed tos, and I didn't hear Dana himself or any of the matchmakers themselves, but I've heard from fighters and talked to fighters, and I've heard and I believe it when they come out publicly and say, hey, I got told if I gave up the belt, if I vacated, if I did this and that favor, that I get next crack when I'm healthy. That's what Jamal said, paraphrasing wise. And dude, that creates a cluster. Because let's be honest, you can't tell 2 guys hey, when you're ready, you get first shot. Thanks for being a team player. So you got 2 of those guys, and then
I feel like they've done that though,
and they mess up divisions that way.
Yeah,
I
mean, the division. Yeah.
So then you got Mr. Meritocracy, Ankalaev, which then there you have the 2 collisions of fans, right? And I'm not saying what's wrong, because we want to see the most important, most entertaining fight, also simultaneously the most important fight at $85 flipping a crack. and you only give me five. You only give me 5 fights. Those 5 fights, they all got to mean something to me. I'm speaking on behalf of the fans and consumers. But yeah, this is it, man. This is the era we're in. This is the facts. We got guys who are very, very like. Let's be honest. There's not a bad fight. You could literally you can let a cat matchmake. You just like put your pet and just let them like sniff whatever, and it just whatever. It's gonna be a good fight. So I just hope that the UFC doesn't trip on its own giant balls and cluster jam too many weight classes with promises and hey, this kind of stuff. I don't know. I'm kind of going off, but at the end of the story, I think. Me personally, they're not going to let Ankalaev go. They're probably not going to let Ankalaev take a shot at Pereira because, we talked about entertaining
Jamal
fights.
Hill. Yeah.
Oh, and entertaining fights. That's not an entertaining fight. We know what's going to happen. Ankalaev is going to try to put Pereira down. That's not what Pereira sells. Pereira sells knockouts. That's what and that's the era we're in. So that's
then the fight you want to see is Jamal Hill and Alex, because two guys who got heavy hands will put people the lights out. So but Ankalaev made it. I mean, he could not that he would. So he said going into the Johnny Walker fight was like, I'm not even going to take him down. I'm going to knock his ass out and just go for the finish. I don't think he's going to do that, like you said, Rob, with Pereira, just because like. Pierre will, if you're going to stand and bang with Pierre, that's the last person on earth you probably want to stand and bang with.
Exactly.
Because so you got to use your wrestling as the strength. It'll be interesting. I do feel like it's new life though in this light heavyweight division, because it seems like it was stagnant after Jones left and we weren't getting a whole lot of movement, but now we're getting a lot of life, I feel, and a lot of guys who are staking claim in this division.
This is the second wave. This is the second time that I remember it happening. Every time you have a champion to lock down, ice up a division, pun intended, like the Iceman, right? When Iceman locked up the division, then when he vacated, he got knocked out, but when he moved on, right, that division got so exciting. It got so exciting. Everybody was blasting everybody. Like
it's hard to run through. You're right.
It was changing left and right. Now the same things happened all over again. After the end of Jones, now the title just seems to be a hot potato. Nobody can hold on to this son of a bitch.
Man, I listen. I agree with you the most on that one, because literally, who is going to be number 2? Who's the number 2 guy right now? You got 2A, 2B, maybe even 2C when you might want to throw in Yuri down there especially after the loss and everything.
If he goes out and beats Rakic at UFC 300, he makes his claim right back at the top. Or if Rakic beats Yuri, he makes his claim. You know what I mean? Like that's
exactly what I'm talking about.
The devil horns show up and I say a single 8-man tournament. I'm just going back there.
All in one night. Hey, I'll pay $80 for that. You know what I mean? $80 for a single elimination tournament.
It used to be famous in Pride, right? Why not? I mean, come on.
Yeah, there's a certain times where an 8-man tournament makes sense, and when and there's no bureaucracy, but UFC has moved on from that model. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Viva la PFL.
Also, Jim Miller had a nice win on that card, and 2 days later, Jim Miller, it is announced UFC 300. I just want to get you guys' thoughts on the 2 big announcements that Dana announced yesterday. BMF title is back. We're getting Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway for the BMF title. And we're getting Jim Miller, 40-year-old Jim Miller, trying to make his way into the rankings against Bobby King Green. I mean, I got 45-year-old Jim Miller being the lightweight champion of the world at 45 if he wins this fight against Bobby Green. What's your first initial thoughts here, just on those 2 fights? I don't want to know who won, just your excitement level for these fights and your thoughts.
First of all, y'all know I get down with the Bobby Green. Okay, y'all know how I feel about that man. When he's focused, when he's not gang banging in hotels, you know what I'm saying. I think he's one of the most exciting fighters in the division, hands down, bar none. Now, does he have to beat up an old man? Maybe so, but let's not count the old man out in this one. Jim Miller doesn't he have like the most wins ever or something crazy? Yeah. So definitely you cannot disqualify that one. So I love this one. Then when you talk about the BMF title fight, let me tell you something. It has to be. I don't care. This is where you throw out all. You just throw it at the wall and go, yeah, it's sticking, right? It's sticking. All right. It's Max Holloway, possibly the best hands down in the UFC, and Gaethje, who is known to have some type of explosive fight.
Most violent man, maybe the most violent man in the UFC.
Maybe the most violent, explosive fighter every 2 fights. So go ahead and just pretty much make the post fight bonus out to that fight and call it a day. But I'm excited. I don't know what it is, like what this new regiment that Dana White is on, but he is like really like, well, if it starts with 3 and ends with a 0, we're gonna put another fight on it. So I'm loving it right now.
Rob, what's your initial thoughts on these 2 matchups?
First, I'm going to address my fellow Hawaiian and Max Holloway and say that I love him and I'll back him up. I don't care who he's fighting, anybody, anytime. I'm blindly picking my man's every which way about it.
Hey, sometimes you got to stay ride or die with your guy. You know what I mean?
Hey, you got to stay loyal to your soil. Hey, but to that being said, Mr. Gaethje is a problem. He is a full-blown fighter. He's not going to quit. He's going to give you every ounce of who he is. And we know it's a warrior. I have apprehension, but I hope that this duration of time, this long duration of time that it feels like Max hasn't fought, but because he's just so active in general, that it feels like a long time. And I hope that this period of time has been used to move up weight the best way possible, because
he fought at 155 once and got beat up by Dustin Poirier.
That was I don't want to say a forced fight, but that was such a like, hey, let me just try some shit. His body wasn't really 155 there. It was like,
you want to know if he's been putting on the weight. Is he doing it the right way?
What could he really be at 155? Because there is a strength difference between 45 and 55. Let's just be honest. So with all that being said, I hope that works in his favor. Like Witt said, cut them shit. Make 2 of them checks for both those boys. You know this shit's gonna be legendary. And with that, I'm excited as all hell. Like I can't. I mean, level 10 excitement. Can I just address the BMF belt thing though?
Yeah.
Fuck that thing. That is trash, man. Like I just like. I'm not for it. Like, okay,
I do like it. So
it's objective. If the BMF title led you to a number 1 contendership, I'll be for it.
I do think so. They're doing it right this time. Like Jorge never defended it, right? So like I didn't like the fact that it was never really defended. But I do like the fact, like, hey, we got a belt here. Let's just make a bunch of fucking fun fights. Like guys, especially guys that maybe now this is my dilemma with this matchup in particular. Now, if both these guys were like Connor and Chandler for the BMF belt would make sense, right? Like, hey, it's you know what I mean? Like they're not, either one of them are going to be coming close to the title. But it seems like if Ila Tapora wins against Volk next month, Max Holloway's got a next fight probably could be for the title. Islam is already tweeting saying Justin Gaethje in July or June or July in Saudi Arabia, right? Like, so why is Justin fighting now? Like, that's a quick turnaround for Justin Gaethje, especially who takes a lot of time off between fights.
Is he fights? Yeah.
Yeah. So like those guys, so like that's my problem with this is like these guys could have a title fight next. Like, why are they fighting each other? Especially for Max, who's out of the division. They're not even in the same division. Now, as far as what you're saying, the BMF, I do like it because you could make a bunch of fun fights for dudes, especially like older dudes who are their title chasing days are kind of ended. Which you could almost say that about Gaethje's fought for the title twice. So one more crack and he's done. Like Max, I mean, he's beaten every featherweight outside of the name Alexander Volkanovski. So, like, why not go for this fun BMF title belt as long as Volk's got the title because he lost to him 3 times?
Okay, I'll defend my stance. I'm not saying it's wrong. Here's what I'm saying is I think we're going a little too far into gimmick land in the MMA world.
I get what you're saying.
Instead of the BMF belt, let's let these guys fight for real money. And then when I say that, I mean let put a fight up and let the winner get the rights to be on the Toyo Tires commercial or the rights to be on XYZ commercial.
Well, do they get pay-per-view points? Does the BMF title get pay-per-view points?
No. So with that being said,
so they don't get
Nope. So with all that being said, I would like guys to like fight. Everybody's fighting for brand recognition now. Everybody wants to be a star.
Yeah.
So with that being said,
everybody wants to hold up the monster can at the end of the fight, right?
Okay, well then fight for that monster sponsorship. Be the guy of the monster advertisement, the 6-foot cutout inside of every single one of your 7-Elevens. Win this fight. That's more of that BMF app.
Listen, yeah, it'd be different if they got because if they got pay-per-view points, if I'm Justin Gaethje, I would 1,000 be like, oh, I get pay-per-view points. UFC 300, I know you're about to stack this son of a bitch. Everybody's gonna be buying it. I definitely defend my title, but if they don't get paid, if he's not getting pay-per-view points, then that changes the game a little.
Listen, I like how we coming together. We're forming Voltron right here, okay? The point is, I really like how you're saying let's incentivize the fight instead of necessarily giving it a gimmicky belt. It's like saying who's the intercontinental champion of the WWE? Is it Intercontinental? No, you're still fighting in the USA. But the point is
still fighting in one promotion.
Right, yeah, you're still fighting for one promotion. But I like the idea of saying, look, this is the belt that the hardest, SOBs in said division fight for. Now, for me, going a little bit off of what you said, bro, is I'd like to see that the BMF title float between divisions. Like, hey,
well, once it was at 170, 155.
Yeah.
And then that's
where we start. BMF belt go to the heavyweight.
Gentlemen, I gotta bring it up. There's a poison that has killed our twin sister sport. I called it sister. Boxing. Boxing is dead and poisoned because of too many belts, too many weight classes, too many belts. It's unrecognizable.
You're right.
Once you have more than one champion, there's no champion.
Somebody asked me why boxing isn't as big as it. I said there's just too many belts. I said too many belts, too many weight classes, and then you have too many different promotions. But you know who's saving boxing? The Saudis. I mean, old Prince Saudi over there is saving boxing, baby. We're getting fights up left and right. In fact, the UFC came to him with a shitty ass fight card. It looked like it was probably Hamzat versus Chris Curtis or some shit. And no disrespect to Chris Curtis or Hamzat, and with a bunch of other guys, he said, "I've been putting on Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury, and I'm putting on Francis and AJ. Don't give me this bullshit. Get it out of here. You better come correct next time if I'm paying $20 million for a fight."
You know how I get down. Salam alaikum to Turkey Al Hashik. Out there putting it on. Salam alaikum to all my brothers out there in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Yo, listen, when the money is out there that these guys are putting on for these promotions, we gotta get it right the first time. Because I mean, right now they are literally igniting the boxing world in more than one direction. Literally in America, in the Middle East, and technically, you might as well say in Europe too, because they bring in pretty much everybody from out of every corner. And you guys are right. It's hard to look at boxing in a UFC or MMA state because it's so many sanctioning bodies. But the thing is, these guys are so, and I'm not going to say that they're old, but they're so stuck in their ways that they're not going to look beyond the fact of saying, oh, this is my guy. No, that's my guy. Well, who's better? No, stop arguing with each other. Put them in the ring. And of course, since we get into that, right? Okay, Bikers, you know me. I'm excited, and we'll talk about it one day. But I'm excited about this PFL Bellator All Championship card that they announced in February. If you are an MMA fan, this will be something that we will have to discuss in depth because it will mean so much. It's going to put the MMA world on its ear when they actually let several champions from different promotions who probably know each other and train each other or wrestle each other half their lives anyway actually go at it. But
yeah,
hey.
Two things on that real quick, and then we'll get into two nice. I mean, now it's all the same promotion. It's all PFL. It's all owned by PFL. And secondly, the only problem I have with that card is no Cyborg, no Kayla Harrison. I know Kayla is a free agent, but that I felt like if they had that marquee fight, because when I think of Bellator and PFL going at each other, those are the first two people I think of that should be fighting. But nonetheless,
got you. Hey, I feel you on that one. Gotta have.
Hey, let's jump into it this Saturday night. UFC 297, headlined by Sean Strickland, the middleweight champion, versus DDP. Dricus du Plessis. We're going to go from the bottom and work our way to the top. The very first fight on the card is my guy Arnold Allen, number 4. It's a featherweight bout. Number 4, Arnold Allen, who is 19-2. He is the dog on this at plus 140. He is fighting the number 9 featherweight Mozar Ivalov, who's 17-0 and is the favorite at minus 166. Quick note, Arnold Allen had won 12 in a row until last April, May, when he fought one and only Max Holloway. Rob, we'll start with you since you're a guest in our house. How do you like this fight and who you want to win?
Man, I'm a little bit. This fight is really hard, and I'll be honest. If I flip flop later in the week, sue me. Right now,
we won't sue you, but we'll make fun of you for flip flopping.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I deserve it. I'm 51% on Evalev right now. Excuse me. Yeah, Mozart. Because here's the reason why I'm not that confident. Usually I'll be like, this dude, yeah. Here's something that I think does not get talked about. The rebound after fighting Max. The fight after fighting Max. Every single one of those guys look like a superhero version of themselves in their bounce back fight. Is this another one of those? Is this the rub? The Holloway rub happening in this fight? I don't know. That's why I'm not as confident as I usually am. But there you go. That's my pick. I'm going Mr. Evalev.
Who you like in this one?
All right, man. So I'm looking at it, from the standpoint of I tried to catch, me. I start YouTube and stuff, and I just like looking at to see what looks good and what doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Arnold Allen didn't look that bad, like against Max, but of course, Max has such a prowess in the ring. Like, I don't know if you know what I'm saying? Just like you said, like, how does it look after you fight Max? Did you pick up on something? Did you improve? Did you gain a skill? Did you learn a little bit about your hand speed? Oh, I got to dodge better. I got to evade. I got to get on my ground. Like, I think for a guy like Arnold Allen already at this point, like, that was the loss he may need to put him in a space to take on the world, man. And because, I mean, the previous fights that I watched, just the highlights of, he didn't look that bad. Like, he really does not.
No, Double A's a dude. Hey,
yeah. So I'm rocking with Arnold Allen on this one, bro. To be real.
Yeah. So here's the thing: Mozar Ivalov, his key to victory is to take you down. He wants to take people down and wrestle. Arnold Allen hasn't been taken down in 6 years.
Woo. That's
found that stat today. Hasn't been taken down in 6 years, folks. 6 years. And if he's going to stand and bang, we've seen Arnold Allen knock out the likes of Dan Hangman. We've seen him beat up Calvin Kattar. I know Calvin got hurt in that fight later on, but Double A was winning that fight outright. I was there live. I just was telling Rob this earlier off air. I was there live. Arnold Allen versus Max Holloway. It was a close fight. He wasn't getting beat up by no means by Max Holloway. It wasn't like Calvin Kattar and Max Holloway when you're like, please somebody stop this fight because Calvin Cater's dying because Max is killing him.
Piecing him up.
Yeah, it wasn't quite like that. It was a good fight. I mean, the scorecard, it went the distance. Arnold Allen's tough. This is my lock of the card here, boys. Give me the one and only Double A Arnold Allen as my lock on the card.
Lock it down. Lock it down.
It's my lock. let's get into it. The next fight on the card is a middleweight fight. Number 14, Chris Curtis. He is 30-10. His last fight was a no contest, and then the fight before that, he lost to Kevin Gastelum. He is fighting Mark Andre. I'm going to butcher his last name. Is it
Barrio?
Barrio. I appreciate it, Rob. He is 16-11. He is the dog on the card at plus 140. He has won 3 out of his last 4. So, Rob, we'll start back with you. How you like this one going?
Well, sir, I'm not gonna lie. I have a soft spot for Mr. Curtis. Got to interview him twice. Got to hang out with him 3 times. He introduced me to Forrest. Yeah, like, come on. You know what I mean? Like, how are you ever going to pick against the guy who introduced you to Forrest? Like, that's not ever going to happen. You can't do that. I'd be a criminal if I ever did that. So with that being said, I blind allegiance to the flag of Chris Curtis.
Action Man Curtis.
To the flag of Action Man, I stand. And yeah, you know, and here's the thing. Here's another thing, man. I know he's kind of having his you know, his resurgence. You know, he's a veteran. He's been around. He's done his thing, and I just hope for him the best. And I hope that he can overcome this, because these headbutts that he, like, honestly, that Gastelum fight should have been a no contest too. Let's be all honest. So with that being said, you know, I just hope.
Yeah, his last 2 fights, he's got headbutted.
2 ugly ones.
Clash of the heads. Yeah.
I guess with all that being said, my pick is Curtis, but more so, I just hope for just a clean fight. Like, let's just let the best man win and let it just be clean. No fouls, no pauses, no point deductions.
Right.
What about you?
Okay, so for me, I got to take a seat back, because I remember watching this one. Botkins and I were talking. Kevin Gastelum was happening, and I was like, he looks good. You know, and then of course, clash of heads, got to stop it. You know, it's one of those things where, like, I hope that he doesn't become reserved in how he fights, because, you know,
it's impossible for Chris Curtis.
I know, but I don't want him to draw back and say, okay, well, let me double check. Nah, I want him to be the action man. I remember, you know, when he took out Buckley, and I was like, oh snap, you know, this guy means business, and so I want to see him. It's going to be a bit of a test. Barrios not too much of a guy that has the mistakes. You know what I mean? He doesn't get in there and then all of a sudden you capitalize on him. You have to take possession of the fight from the beginning. But who could do that other than Chris Curtis? Going with this one, holla at your boy.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Make it a 3-peat here. They asked Chris Curtis if he feels like he's the gatekeeper. He's like, I might be the gatekeeper, but I ain't letting him in. So give me Chris, the Action Man Curtis, clean sweep for us 3 on Chris Curtis.
I want to throw on there one thing that Chris has done different in recent times, and maybe it's a good thing. We'll see if it's good or not, or if it's effective or not. It's shutting up the noise once in a while. You know, every once in a while, getting off of social media, staying focused on the prize in front of you is a good thing. The one
fight I felt like he let stuff get to him, the Jack Hermanson fight. You know, like, that fight was weird. Like, Jack was just trying to point him.
Yeah, he underperformed a little. He got on himself. Other people got on him. It compounded. Yeah. But this time he's turned the blinders on, and we'll see if it works.
Yeah, and I love that. I do love that great Extreme Couture team. Eric Nixick, to me, is an incredible coach. Obviously, he's Sean Strickland coach. He's Chris Curtis. I mean, Francis Ngannou. Like, I love watching. I'm all about Eric Nixick and Team Couture, their Extreme Couture, because he just seems like a legit dude. I love watching him and hearing him. And I watch any interview with him. He's a great guy. I love watching his corner work. And he's got a busy night ahead of him. So he's got Chris Curtis and then the main event, which we'll get to here in a minute. The next one is none other than a welterweight fight, a veteran at the game. I mean, always game. Number 13, Neil Magny. He is actually the dog on this one at plus 205. Neil Magny is 28-12, but his last 5 fights, he's lost one, lost. And he is facing a guy who's trying to enter his rankings, Mr. Canadian Mike Malott, who is 10-1. He has won his last 6 fights. He is the favorite at minus 250. We'll go back to you, Rob, as you're the guest in the house.
Ooh, thank you. With that being said, I believe begrudgingly, sadly, there's a ticking of the clock that's happening, and some of the guys that we know and love, that we know are very capable, they're all gonna taste the boot.
Father Time waits for nobody, my friend.
Father Time is gonna be inserting his fist into a lot of guys' life this year, and I think Mr. Magny is at that point of his career where the UFC or the promotion as a whole sees what has to happen. There's a life cycle to a fighter, and I believe he's at that point where they're selling his name, his recognition, his credibility to build the new brand of fighters onwards and upwards. They already kind of sold him to Ian Gary already. Now Malott being basically Mike Malott is the only fighter out of Canada with a pulse that people think highly of right now. I'm not saying respect and not saying there's good fighters in Canada. I'm just saying like any kind of oomph.
Him and that Jourdain guy. Jourdain's kind of got a little bit of feeling.
Air Jourdain's got fans, but he doesn't have like the winning streak, right?
Mike Malott feels like the real player in Canada.
Yeah,
like,
he could
I could see this guy maybe not being a champion, but a guy who could contend. Top contender,
challenger, you know what I mean? So with that being said, plus let's be honest, right? The UFC doesn't go up north very often, and I don't think that they're gonna go and put, the guy that's the country's best hope on the 3rd spot on the card to get wiped out by a 38-ish-year-old dude. I don't, but it could happen. Neil Magny is very skilled. He's very skilled, and he could totally play spoiler. But my pick for this one is Team Canada.
Ah, man. The heart and the brain, like they combat one another.
Neil Magny's 36, by the way.
Yeah, his hairline is 46. Excuse me.
42. Straight up, man. Neil Magny, a warrior, a combatant, somebody that when we talk, like y'all mentioned earlier about Curtis. A gatekeeper, you think you're doing something, you got to see Neil Magny somewhere. And as I look at the last 3 losses, Shavkat going up, Gilbert Burns always somewhere at the top, Ian Gary, these are in the corner. These are winners who have beat Neil Magny, like winners of the division. Is Mike Malott the next winner, the next guy headed up the scale a little bit? It's a possibility. I love how you threw in there. Of course, are they going to throw, what do they like out there? Are they going to throw some poutine out there? No, they're going to give him moose steak, and literally, it's going to be Mike Malott on this one. I want Neil Magny to be my dog so bad on this card. Like I want him to, but my brain is saying these submissions, and I've watched Mike Malott fight, and literally it's the striking which makes you go into guarding yourself, and here's a takedown, there's your neck, and it's over. So I want Neil Magny to be my dog so bad, but I got to go with Mike on this one as well, man. The Canadians, Canada dry right now. Got to go with that.
Yeah, we agree again on this one. I like. Part of me, it's like Neil can always catch these guys. He's done it several times where a guy's on the up and up, and then he catches them, but then he loses to guy. But I think this is Mike Malott seems like a guy here that's going to be a force to reckon with in his home country. This seems like a perfect chance for him. Oh, Canada, give me Mike Malott, baby. Let's get to the co-main. The bantamweight title is on the line. The vacant bantamweight title is on the line. Seems like winner is going to get Juliana Pena somewhere down this year. She was claiming that she's the champion, and they're fighting for the interim title. But I love Juliana. Most people find her cringe, but I find her gorgeous, and I think she's funny. So. Call me a Juliana fan, but nonetheless, we'll get into the women's vacant bantamweight champion. Obviously, was vacant after the GOAT Amanda Nunes retired last year. It's been vacant since, and it is Raquel Pennington, number one Raquel Pennington versus number 4 Raquel Pennington's the dog at plus 140. She's 15-9. She has won her 5 last fights. The last loss was to Holly Holm way back in 2020. And she has taken on number 4, Maria Bueno Silva, who is the favorite here at minus 166. She is 10-2 and has won her last 3 fights. Rob, who is winning the women's bantamweight champion? I guess you could say we did have just a brief champion, but for the most part, it's been Amanda Nunes' division for the last, 6-7 years.
That is all concrete, my man. She had that locked down. Same thing we were talking about earlier. When a fighter, a generational talent, ices over a division, it's beautiful to see the metaphorical spring that happens and the newness that comes in. I just want to take this one moment to address all the people who fought me butted heads with me during live spaces when I continuously told you that the 145 women's division was not getting canceled, and it is going to get revitalized, and they will put lots of effort into making the 145 just like the men's flyweight once was on life support. They're going to make it spectacular, and this is the first step, and everybody's going to go, what you talking about? This is Rocky Pennington and MBS. Come and hold your horse. This is the first step. This is the dawn of a new era of women's 145, and it's going to be awesome. We're going to see women knocking out women, and that is what's going to bring. Now, for my prediction for the fight, I'm going with the seasoned vet, Rocky Pennington. I am going with her because she has levels to her game. She can make adjustments, and she is a woman on
fire. Dog on the card? She your dog on the card?
She is my sir. Thank you for bringing that up. That is my realistic. I think the dog that's gonna bite. I think Rocky's gonna do it. Like I said, she has all the skills in all the different arenas. MBS, yeah, she got that ninja choke on Holly, but she was that's not gonna happen to Rocky.
Hey, that's a no contest. That was a no contest because metabolites. No, not roids. Metabolites relating to Ritalin. So that's right. I can't remember. I was like, why this? I was like, she beat Holly, but I was like, why was it? When I looked it up, I was like, why was it a no contest? I can't remember.
Metabolites, amphetamine metabolites related to Ritalin. So
that's why she was suspended too. And then
So with all that being said, also come on, let's just go storyboard. Since everybody wants to write a story, everybody wants to jump 2 rows over the person behind you with 4 cameras on you to make a story. See what I'm saying? Anyways, the story is here. It's a woman who basically pioneered the sport or was amongst them.
Yeah.
Went in, took a bunch of losses, revitalized herself, went on a mad streak. Her name is Rocky. She's about to fight for the title against all odds. Come on, people. This is a built-in story. You don't need to fabricate it. So with all that being said, you can see the happiness inside of me. I'm all in for Raquel Pennington because I want women's MMA to have its own, and I'm not comparing her on equal footing, but a story like a Randy Couture.
So you're funny you said about Randy. So if she wins, she will be the 3rd person to been in the UFC 10 plus years to win her first title. Do you guys know the other 2?
One of them has to be Glover.
Nope.
What? Where was it leaked? Go for it then. I don't know.
I thought, maybe it's 12 plus years, or it's like a decade in the UFC, I think. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, who's that?
So, Charles Oliveira.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
And Robbie Lawler.
Oh, that.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast that gave me that question and answer, so I don't want to think like I was fucking out here just coming up.
Hey, it's all good. It's a sharing, baby. This was so
Put the knowledge
I was like,
out
oh shit, I didn't know that. I think she actually, if she'll beat Randy and who'd you just say, Rob?
I didn't say anybody.
No, you. Who was it you just said that you thought it had to be? The old Glover. I think she beat Glover by just like a few months is what it was.
Gotcha.
Yeah. He was like close, but so she's like 4, and then she would be like top 3.
I would just like a longevity story. I wasn't really trying to compare fighters against each other. Just a story of longevity, sticking with it.
Yeah.
Just because you're not 28, you can't win a world title.
Look at Charles Oliveira, right? Like whoever would have thought, and then in 2020 he put it all together. You know what I mean? And it's
right.
Yeah.
When you're hot, you're hot.
Yeah. What about you? Who you got? Who you got as the new women's bantamweight champion?
Okay, so Mr. Nakamura has like somehow convinced my brain to rethink and like it's like the Rubik's Cube. You just switch sides on me real quick. So in real life, Raquel Pennington, been there long time, put the bricks on the ground. I like that idea, but Maria Buena Silva somehow ends up in these really weird situations where these submissions are her thing, and I honestly think that she's not getting enough acclaim for her ability to strike. I don't think she's getting enough of it. A lot of times when we see anything last name Silva, anything, it's gonna hurt. Okay, it's gonna hurt. It's from Brazil. It's gonna hurt. For me, my heart wants to go Raquel Pennington, take the dog. But for me, this is my lock on the card right here with Maria Buena Silva, and I'm talking second round. Not even.
Oh, I like it with this fight. These girls. I mean, Rob, you said it. Rocky's been around a long time. She's fought the who's and everybody else. She's obviously on a nice fight winning streak. But I'm gonna say this for story purposes going forward, and because Rocky just doesn't have like the personality. I feel like. And if one of these ladies is going to go on and fight Juliana, so for purposes only, give me MBS because I think she will go back and forth with Juliana, and that'll be some fun stuff. And I think MBS has got those hands as well. So I'm going in new UFC Women's Bantamweight Champion of the World, Mariana Bueno Silva.
I like it. Sounds nice. Good. Has a nice ring to it.
Yeah. We get into the main event. Rob, we were talking off air. We felt like it's both the work that you have the when they got into the altercation at the last pay-per-view of the year. It is Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis for the middleweight championship of the world. There's a lot of bad blood. I feel there is some bad blood. Sean Strickland literally said, "Hey, you bring up that stuff about my dad molesting me, I will stab you where we are. Don't ever mention it again. I will literally stab and murder you in the octagon." I don't know how he's going to get a knife in there. Somebody better check him. But nonetheless, double check him. But nonetheless, here it is. Bad blood for the middleweight championship. Rob, I lay it down to you. How do you see this fight going, and who do you like?
I like both of these guys, right? Like, I'm gonna be honest, I like both of them. They're both good at what they do at fighting, and they've both found a way in their own ways.
They're both weird, like the way they fight. Like, you know, Sean's got that shell, and is there any more awkward fighter than DDP?
No.
You know, no, because he looks like a crate of hamburger meat coming at you. Like,
yes, it's just like this.
It's just this massive man, just a brick.
Yes.
But not a brick wall, like a collection of bricks in a lumpy pattern.
the thing from like, Fantastic Four. The thing from Fantastic Four. Shit rocks just
clobbering time. There you go. Hell yeah. With that all being said, I like both the guys. I like how they draw their fan bases. They got the stuff going. I do want to say though, I don't think it was necessary for the UFC to cook up storylines. I don't think every fight needs a storyline. I think
this was a cooked one.
Oh my man.
Oh
okay,
yeah.
Here's let me explain to you the reasons why I think it was that whole thing was staged. First off,
of course, Mr. Nakamura. Yes.
First step at the press conference, not addressing anything, but the first thing Dana goes is, I put those guys together. I've been doing the seats for 20 years. I don't know wow I could have possibly thought this. I made the big mistake. It wasn't anybody in the company. It's all on me. Blame me. So boom, scapegoat. Don't blame the company. The company's not stupid. Yeah. Okay. Next. Anytime there has been a fight historically, this is probably the biggest factual point that everybody can agree upon. I've been watching the fight game, and specifically the UFC for the entire 30 years of its existence. And every single time there's been a fight, even hearkening back to, I think, UFC 6 or 7, where there's a fight in the crowd involving Tank Abbott, they didn't show it. They don't show it. They've never showed it. They don't show it. This time, there's 4 camera angles, perfectly timed, perfectly ready, and last but not least, very, very, very important, you try getting into a fist fight 30 feet from a former head of state. Try getting into a slobber knocker next in the same room as the King of England or the King of Thailand or the Prime Minister of whatever country you want to pick. You're going to be arrested, sir or madam. That's just the way it is. None of those things happened, thus a complete work. And last but not least, if you go, oh, we didn't press charges, that's for the courts to decide. There was live officers on site that saw violence. Those men are to be detained, arrested, and whether the charge is filed by the DA at a later point in time, that is an issue for the American justice system. But there you go. Those are my points on why that was completely staged to get everyone to buy this stuff. The fact of the matter is, people, $85 is quite frankly outside of the realm of most fans that I speak to. I hold fight watch parties weekly, every week for the past over 2 years. I've been doing this, and I talk to lots of beautiful people all over the earth, and the North American fans are not with it. It's a very expensive price tag. So I know I went off on the tangent, bringing it back to the fight. Why would we pay $85 to see one of these guys get knocked out?
One of them gets stabbed.
One of them gets stabbed. bring up some childhood trauma, whatever's. With that being said, Strickland and still because Psycho wins. There you go.
Football talk. Oh my guy. All right. So I'm not gonna go too bad off on a tangent, but I'm just gonna say this, right? I like the idea that somebody went, ooh, look at them. They're really close to each other. You know, because like I've worked in television a little bit and I worked in radio, right? There's a button that everybody hits on the side of your thing, you know, on your little hip, and they're going, hey, y'all see Drinkers over there? Watch on Strickland? Hey, David, turn around and see if you can get them looking at each other, because they looking. And that's what was, and I'm not saying that you're incorrect, but they were on those headsets going, hey, man, they get.
That's because they was in on it, Whit. I believe I said it since day one. It was a work.
I'm not saying that if they were okay. I think that the seating was purposeful, but I don't think that they thought it was going to go to that extent. That's what I'll say. I think the seating was we'll see what happens. Maybe Sean does something stupid, but to physically, I forgot whose kid was it?
Dorino.
Gilbert Burns.
Right, it was Gilbert Burns. He said, "Hey, look, I watched that. He was like, hey, look, man, do me a favor, slide over just a little bit." And yeah, I like that type of anticipation for your opponent. Now, don't get me wrong. Since then, I've watched all of those interviews. These are, regardless of how damaged Sean Strickland is, he's still a sensible guy. So they've had those exchanges. So he said, "Thank you for not pressing charges." Dricus was like, "Hey, man, me and him did text. He sent me a message and apologized because, he knew it was wrong and it was crazy. And the police said, nonetheless, hey, I'm not pressing charges. But just like you said, Brant, man, the state has to figure out whether or not they're going to press charges on him because it's assault on camera. You just can't ignore it." Now, with that being said, I'm thinking we taking that title to South Africa, man. I gotta go and new with this one because for me, I want to see a trilogy. We already saw the first fight. We're going to see the second fight in Canada. We got to see a third fight because somewhere in there, I think this is enough animosity between the two that when they get in the ring,
if Sean loses, he's not. If Sean loses, he's not getting an immediate rematch.
No, of course it won't be immediate. I don't think it'll be immediate, but I think
just later down the road. Do you think?
Yeah, I think Du Plessis has enough of the skill set to hold the title for more than one fight, for two title defenses. Like I'm talking about the wrestling is crazy, the hands ridiculous. The idea of him putting hands to face or foot to mouth is very possible, easily, in my opinion. But Sean Strickland has got the offset skill set to where if he slips, it could be over really quickly. But I'm going Du Plessis on this one and new. Shout out to Sean Strickland. I think he had a great run. I think this is like they got to make a movie about this 20 years from now. They got to get some old bum to beat up on him and slam the door and throw a beer at his door. So you're never gonna be nothing, and throw the beer at his wall. I think they gotta do it. They got to. But right now, I think it's Dricus' time. He's been worth it so far in the UFC, and I like to see it. And let's not even talk about Izzy coming in the ring and raining down N-words, okay? But I really want to see that type of fighting happen and him win. There we go.
Yeah. So again, Sean Strickland, I didn't give out the odds here. Sean Strickland is the favorite at -130, DDP at +110. Last time we saw DDP, he laid out Rob Whittaker. When you lay out Rob Whittaker, that means something. Now I know Sean beat Izzy in which Unfathomable was the craziest, maybe one of the biggest upsets in UFC history, in fighting history. The way that fight played out. Sean, the longer this fight goes, I think it favors Sean. Sean looks in incredible shape. I don't know if you guys have seen pictures of him, but he looks like he's in the best shape of his life. DDP he's always in phenomenal shape.
I don't know if you've seen a South African, but a South African is always in shape, mate.
I want to do a South African voice, but it's just gonna come out all Mandela-y, and I
don't. So with that being said, and I think the longer this fight goes, if it goes rounds 4 and 5, it favors Sean. We know Sean can go 5 rounds. We've seen him do it multiple times. He's fighting God knows how many main events in the Apex. You know what I mean? Like he's Mr. Apex himself, and his main event, Mr. Apex himself. He has fought several times. We know he can go 5 rounds. DDP, we're not too sure. He's never even had to go 5 rounds. Shit, I don't even know if he's gone 3 rounds in the UFC. He's always knocking out guys left and right. So the quicker this fight goes, the longer it goes, favors Sean. DDP's got them hands. And with that being said, I think in the 3rd round, my dog on the card, is none other than DDP and new UFC middleweight champion of the world, Headicks Du Plessis. He He's my dog on the card, and he's going to be the new middleweight champion of the world, baby.
Oh, yeah. Listen, I love it. I love it. To be real, me and you have been talking since last year that this fight is going to happen. I can't wait. I don't think Canada's
last
ready.
was only like 2 weeks ago, Whit, so you know what I mean?
No. We knew 2 weeks ago, which is last year, that this was going to happen, and I can't wait. I don't think Canada's ready, and I'm excited, and I'm really excited for this main event, our first pay-per-view of the year. And hey, Rob, you coming back to do the post fight, right?
Hey man, of course. All you gotta do is just like that. I'll be there.
Hey, well, this time next week, Rob, if you want to come back and we'll go over our wins and losses. Just real quick. So Rob had Mozart. Rob, did you got a lock on the card? Your dog was Raquel. Do you got a lock on the card?
Shoot. I think let me look real quick.
Just a guaranteed win.
Shoot, I thought I did. Give me 1 second. Let me look. And
you want to be Curtis, right?
Yeah. Malott is my lock.
Oh, Malott
is my lock. Yeah.
Okay.
Now Curtis, that's just I'm blindly going for him, but I think he's gonna win.
That's just your boy. You're right.
Right. I got my glasses on. I'm just going for him.
Stevie Wonder in it, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Isn't she lovely? And then wait, your lock was
MBS.
MBS. Who's your dog on the card?
My dog's gonna be Drickus.
Oh, your dog's Drickus too. Okay.
Yep.
I got you.
Oh, going for the dog.
Hey, I feel like Whit's just copying my homework here or something.
I'm looking at your paper. I see your glasses reflection.
Winning is winning if it happens that way.
Hey, so I think we got the same amount of picks, right? You got Sean, or you got DDP as your dog and win. You got MBS. I got MBS. Right. MBS was your lock. I got Arnold Allen as my lock, and you got Arnold Allen. You picked Arnold Allen too, huh?
Why am I come in like I'm like the guest here, and I'm just fucking it all up. I'm just like,
nah, man, that's what we're trying to. Hey, we gotta have somebody think differently.
We gotta look. Sometimes me and Bacchus getting this ESPN thing, and I'm like, "What you say? Did you say that?"
Yeah, Ebony and Ivory up in here. You know what I mean?
Beautiful. I'm coming in all off key, like, yeah, Raquel and bing, 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 just like making out crazy. Man, thank you guys. This is a wonderful card to talk about, and thank you guys for bringing up the last week's stuff. I just want to say real quick, for me personally, those are the people who follow me, and I'm not making a big deal out of it, but my grandma, I just want to shout out to the woman who raised me, who passed this past week. Because of her, I've been a lifelong fan of MMA. It's on my bio. When I was 8 years old, I used to get WWE pay-per-views as a treat. If I was a good boy, I kind of fibbed. I didn't know what the UFC was. Nobody did. I just saw it was able to be ordered and asked. They ordered it. Me, my grandma, my grandpa sat down on the couch and watched that first UFC together, and my life has forever been changed. So just shout out, thanks, Grandma, for everything.
Yo,
hey, rest in peace, your grandma. She sounded like a wonderful lady. So we all need a good grandma.
Gotta love grandmas, man, for sure.
Yep. Rob, you got any other final thoughts other than that before we get up out of here?
Man, I just want to say, fans of the UFC, be prepared for big changes. And I don't mean in like, oh, the roster is going to switch up. I mean in the way fights are put together. For the long, I have a sneaky suspicion that the long-time fight fans are going to be very upset as this year progresses. But I want everyone to also keep an open mind. And shout out to what Whit said earlier. Can we show a little love to the brands outside of the UFC, people? It is very healthy for the sport when the UFC has a competitor. That's all I'm saying. It's good for everyone.
Competition is good for places everyone. Places to go.
There you go. That's my message. Enjoy all of MMA.
Listen, hey, I agree with you on that one, bro. Hey, look, NFL's getting spring football to compete with it in a little bit. So I mean, we gotta have some more brands, man.
I'm with that.
Any final thoughts with before we get up out of here?
Okay, real quick, I gotta show some love, right? So Brad Katona is on the undercard, right? But he's 3.5 on this one. Shout out to Brad Katona, two-time tough winner. I gotta go with Katona on that one. Because every time I see him and he takes his glasses off, I just imagine like pieces of bodies in a basement and like bloody kitchens. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
he just
yeah,
that guy. So shout out to Brad Katona. Once again, thanks, Brad, for coming on the show, giving us a little dichotomy here. We need that every once in a while. Break up the monotony of me. You know, it's like me and Bikins. We like an old couple. You do it. No, you do it. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it goes. So I appreciate you. And then once again, y'all know me. I am excited about boxing. Turkey Al Sheikh. Hamdulillah. You know what I'm saying? We got that. We got to talk about it. So let's not forget. Eventually, we got to do Ngannou and AJ and the prelims on that. And of course, that's in a month or so. They're making a huge deal of it right now.
Yeah, I want to jump onto what Whit said. For those of you who don't know me, at JSPEC, the host, at JSpec, the host, I do watch parties on X, formerly Twitter, via Spaces format for every single UFC event. Been doing it for over 2 years. And I try to do them for boxing, any combat sport. If they're scrapping, I want to see it happen. It's already on my t-shirts. Don't try to steal it. I will sue you. I will sue you. I'm not
we appreciate it. It's been another great episode of Head Kicks and Haymakers. Great fights on Saturday. I'm packed in on Saturday. Like, I might miss the Arnold Allen and Chris Curtis fight if they go fast. I got to watch my Packers play the 49ers. That game starts.
Yeah.
Lead right into UFC 297. So I probably ain't going to leave the couch. Just going to be pals and beers and, doing a little bit of something else. You know what I'm saying?
I progressively I don't know about you guys, but I progressively stack my screens. Like, I start with the smallest, then a tablet, then a laptop, then my TV. Like, so I can see all of it in a straight line over each other.
Yeah, I'm definitely like big screen and laptop. Like all I gotta do is move and then like just put my TV somewhere on the table. That's it.
So I'll be probably two screening it, but the big screen, the Packers game's close, so the big screen will be the Packers game, and then we kick it to the UFC afterwards. So
hey, real quick, Bikins. If you don't know, my man Bikins is out here kicking it in an ice cold tub, putting out content, baby. Shout out to you, bro. Hey, listen, I told my wife, I was like, baby, you got to give me a bag of ice. You got to sit with me in the bathroom. You gotta let me talk about a minute. It's happening. He's going to inspire me to do it. I'm going to follow it up. I don't know what the hell I'm going to say, but I'm going to try to talk for about a minute.
I don't know what I'm saying in there with it. I'm just trying to get through the minute and a half of the cold plunge.
He's doing it a second time, and it's cold outside in real life. Shout out to you, bro. I wanted to throw that in.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Hey, be a friend, tell a friend, folks. Like, subscribe, share. We'll see you next week. For Wit and our special guest, none other than Mr. Rob Nakamura, Jay Speck, the host, the very first guest ever on Head Kicks and Haymakers in history. Hopefully, we'll be getting some more. And Rob, if open invitation next week. If you want to come back, we'll review the cards, talk about how bad your picks were, and talk
Throw
about
it all in my face. I can't wait.
So be a friend, tell a friend, folks. Like, subscribe, share. We'll see you next week. I gotta hit the outro.
Hit the button.